ministries, Mr. Goyal, are both implementers and energizers of Digital India. Which is, of course, a cross-cutting initiative going across various ministries and departments. How is Digital India and how is IT helping make your ministries, coal and power, more efficient and more effective?
As regards the impact of Digital India on the energy sector, I think it's pretty obvious. Energy in the last few years we've seen has gone through tumultuous times, whether it is coal, whether it is renewable energy, or whether it's power. In all sectors, one can see a significant impact of technology, one can see a significant impact of information technology. Look at power. The SCADA systems that can be set up all across particularly the city areas, can actually help you monitor your power consumption, plan your purchasing, plan what you're going to feed into the tariff. It can help you work on net metering and reverse flow of power from solar rooftops. The SCADA systems help you isolate the pockets where power theft takes place, where there are larger T&D losses. All in all, in the power sector, right from the generating stage till the consumer, if we can have a seamless or a smart grid fit into the whole flow of energy, you have an ability to monitor where the pain points are and where you have to focus the efforts to bring down the cost of energy, bring down losses, serve the people better. As we go forward into this, we'll have smart meters coming into it. Smart meters clearly help us eliminate a lot of corruption that the meter reader does when he goes to your place. It helps us to monitor whether the meter is actually on a real-time basis by the minute, working well, working correctly. One can easily do a spot check and see whether as much as the power load as is working is being recorded on the smart meter. And it's the human interface between consumer and government can be reduced, which is a part of our commitment to the people. And briefly, in coal theft is another serious issue where we are looking at bringing in a 360-degree focus with CCTVs, weighbridges along the movement of coal. We are also looking at monitoring all the movement of coal through an electronic system where GPRS will be installed on every truck or every railway wagon to know exactly the movement of coal, whether coal trucks are getting diverted, whether wagons are stopping at wayward stations and theft taking place. So technology is an enabler which can just cut across all parts of government.
Fair enough, thank you. Whether it is the person reading the power meter or the person stealing the coal, there are vested interests which technology has to fight. Power reforms have been suggested earlier as well. IT and power reforms have been suggested earlier under the AP, DRP mechanism, for instance. But they haven't made much headway under previous governments. Was the problem technology or was it politics?
I think it's more to do with sincerity of purpose. It's more to do with thinking big, thinking to scale. It's also possibly a little bit to do with integrity. For instance, now when I'm talking to these states and telling them that, look, the processes are going to be only run through e-tendering or e-auction or e-reverse bidding, it comes as a cultural shock to them. But we in government are gradually moving more and more towards eliminating the envelope-based tendering system. We are also trying to put together the requirements of the nation as a whole and bid for larger volumes. So both the supplier or the producer or manufacturer gets confidence of ability to produce more, and we get better pricing in the process. I'm quite sure, given the limited resources that we have, once we prioritize where the big returns are, where the payback is fastest, we'll be able to get a bigger bang for every rupee that we spend.
This morning we had Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, the IT minister, speaking, and he spoke of Digital India's vision being taking BPOs and taking the ITES industry to smaller cities and to Gorakhpur and to smaller towns and villages. Now obviously energy and power will be instrumental in this because you have to improve supply, you have to improve distribution. When your government came into office, there was some talk of power on demand being a vision. Is this feasible in 5 years? And why are we closer to it today than 6 months ago? Why do you believe we are closer to it now than 6 months ago?
Well, very clearly it's doable, feasible, and I'm very confident India will have 24/7 power by March of 2019. I have absolutely no iota of doubt. I'm getting good cooperation from different states. States also realize that the people are anxious for performance, their expectations are high, and every state ultimately will also have to go into elections. So my belief is that this is something that is an idea whose time has come. The people of India now are an aspirational people. They see television, they have mobile phones, they want to have the benefits of all of these things. And electricity is that common thread which will only help enable these things to reach the people. As regards my confidence, it stems from the fact that the 2 or 3 pain points because of which power was not adequately available, we are addressing in a systematic manner, whether it's the fuel issues, coal production is being bumped up, coal mines which were illegally allotted are being re-auctioned through a very transparent process. Gas situation should get better with the announcement of a firm definitive price. Irrespective, we are trying to see how we can pool some resources of the government of India and make sure that these gas plants, which over the years have not been able to produce, can act as a spinning reserve and bring grid stability into the system and strengthen our frequency control mechanisms. I see tremendous potential both in the gas and coal-fired power generating stations to increase power generation by 50% given adequate fuel supply with the existing generating capacity. And our focus on transmission and distribution, which has been woefully lacking over the last few years, where we plan to invest nearly $50 billion in the next 4 years, 4 to 4.5 years, is going to be the game changer which will reach electricity to every home.
My final question, renewables and non-conventional sources of energy. Is this a pie in the sky, or is this something which can become reality? Can Digital India actually be powered by solar panels of every BPO?
We'll have to look at a hybrid solution. As we go forward, I'm hoping that storage systems will get more economical and will help the renewable sector give uninterrupted and continuous supply. Until storage becomes cheaper, clearly solar can help feed in during a particular set of hours in the day. Wind has the ability to go beyond that a little bit. Hydel we are pushing very strongly wherever it is feasible, and I'm focusing at the initial stage on restarting all the stalled hydel projects. You'll be delighted to know we've been able to sort out the mess that Teesta was in Sikkim. And it had strategic importance, being the state of Sikkim, a border state. People of Sikkim were anxiously looking for development, and this was that one big step in that development.
True.
There were 6 international investors who were very concerned and in trouble. There was fights between contractors, promoters, state government. The entire setup had been in such a sad state, and 2 years of delay had made the project almost unviable. The tariff has reached very large, very high proportions, making it unviable. I'm very glad that all stakeholders came together on one table, spent 4-5 hours with me, sat down for 5 hours without me, and finally we were able to resolve a 2-year dispute and get that going. I think with the sincerity with which Prime Minister Narendra Modi is approaching each problem, I'm fairly confident that there's a renewed interest in this sector in India, and we'll see both investments coming in and we'll see all the stalled and delayed projects getting back onto shape. And in terms of renewable, given the confidence that people have in the new government and the fact that we are trying to bring interest costs down, we are trying to keep the rupee-dollar parity stable, we have resolved the dispute that solar manufacturers had, and they have suo motu withdrawn their anti-dumping duty petition, and the fact that government has introduced a bankable entity like NTPC and its subsidiary NVVN to buy renewable energy, it makes that project and its power purchase agreement far more bankable. And I see the $100 billion investment as a reality. 15th to 17th February next year, we have a conference on renewable energy happening in Delhi. And I'm hopeful that by that time we'll clearly see visibility of the big bucks.
Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you for sparing time. I'd like to invite Arvind Gupta to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Piyush ji, for being with us this morning. I just want to emphasize on one thing that you have said and the industry has said, is that without power, there is no digital India. And we need full support of your ministry to make this happen. And we look forward to your vision in this also. Thank you very much for being with us.